You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM and the host of Community Forum. And with me today is Superintendent Jerry Washburn. Jerry Washburn is the superintendent of Carlsbad Municipal Schools. What we're going to specifically talk about today is the general obligation school bond question that most have been receiving in their mailbox if they live in the city of Carlsbad. So let's start with Superintendent Washburn. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing exceptionally well. Thank you.
Great. Well, glad to have you on. Glad that you can spare some of your time. I know this is always busy during the school year. And then when you have a mail-in election and the time of the year that it is, it's just a very busy time. So we thank you again for giving us some of that time.
My pleasure. Happy to do it.
All right, great. So I moved to Carlsbad roughly a year and a half ago after purchasing the radio station. And so as I do these interviews, sir, I also end up learning a lot about Carlsbad in the process, which has been very helpful. So if you could tell myself as well as the listeners a little bit about yourself, maybe how you became superintendent and what's your vision as superintendent of Carlsbad Municipal Schools.
Okay, well, I'm ending my fourth year in Carlsbad. I had worked in Los Alamos for almost 30 years as a classroom teacher, principal, all the central office stuff. And then I went to Oregon and was a superintendent for 3 years. My wife really wanted to get back closer to her family in Floyd. And the Carlsbad job came up. I applied and I was blessed enough that they picked me, and really my vision is, that the board hired me to reestablish trust with the community, to move facility planning forward, and to really bring stability to the district. And that's what I've been very focused on doing. So to this point, I feel pretty good about where we are.
That's great. Los Alamos always has is very respected school district within the state, and Los Alamos County in general is for obvious reasons. So it sounds on the surface, sir, that we're very lucky to have you for so many years, and I look forward to you sticking around for sure. So you talked about moving infrastructure forward, which is going to be a natural segue to the general obligation school bond question. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about this bond and maybe just bonding information in general. So start with, what is a bonding? Let's help all our listeners understand that, why it's important, and then we'll get into some of the specifics of this bond.
Okay, so bond, what we have is the district has a tax rate that's dedicated to debt of 6.22 mils, and that's the 6.22 is per $1,000 next taxable value. And that's been in place since 2015. The total tax rate to debt is 4.438 of those mills is dedicated to general obligation bonds. That's for major construction. Okay. And that's what we'll be talking about on this current bond. What we're doing is we're going out for a $90,000 bond to build a new middle school on the south side of Carlsbad to replace Alta Vista, because we've outgrown that one, and our student population there is going to make it necessary for us to have 2,000 kid middle schools. So PR Leyva is already at that level. So this will enable us to absorb the population. And the other piece of it is completing our elementary school remodel rebuilds with finishing up Sunset Elementary. So those are the two major projects that we're doing with this one.
Okay, so that's a $90 million bond that does not increase your taxes by any means. It's a tax that's already been implemented. We already pay. You're not going to feel it by voting yes on this question.
That is correct, because this tax rate is already in place, and because we work very closely with our bond counsel and to keep the tax rate where it is. The board that hired me wanted to move these facility plans forward, but they wanted to move them forward without increasing the tax rate. So we've always operated within that. So And because we're blessed by oil and gas, we're repaying debt at an incredibly rapid rate. So that enables us to keep the tax rate there and get these bonds paid off, so that long term, people look at it and say, well, this bond's going to be paid back over 20 years. Over time, my taxes are going to go up because my assessed value will go up. Well, we're going to get them paid off to where that's not the case. And
right.
So, that's just the luxury we have because of oil and gas.
Right. And by paying them earlier, you're also saving a ton of money on interest, is how that kind of wraps around and benefits these in general.
Absolutely.
Right. So I live really close to Riverside Elementary School. And when I first moved here, the school district was just starting to remodel Riverside. Right. Now, Riverside is completely done. It looks great. It's an incredible improvement to the community to have a brand new elementary school, in your neighborhood that obviously only increases the value of the neighborhood and your property. And it looks really great. So the Riverside renovation, as well as Monterey Elementary School, those are part of the 2019 bond that passed?
Yes, in Monterey, they just broke ground on that. In fact, if you go over by the high school right now, you see 3 2019 projects, the field house that we're improving, the new performing arts center that we're building, and Monterey. So those are 3 that are in process right now. And we've encumbered the money from the previous bonds, so we're not using any of this new bond money.
Right. So
these
are for new projects specifically.
This is for new projects.
Right. All right. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of bonding? And I'm going to ask the question by basically saying, would these projects be possible, the past ones and the ones that you're planning for the future, without the bonding?
Short answer, no. We have to bond. And our bonding capacity is about $435 million. We would never go out and ask the community to do that. We have about $420 million in unmet facility needs. But what we've done with the bond is it gives us the capacity to keep a stable tax rate, move forward on a steady three-phase plan. This will be phase 2 of 3 phases to improve all of our capital facilities. And at the end of that, probably within 2 to 3 years after we finish phase 3, we will probably have all the bonds paid off. So,
wow.
I mean, a win for the community.
Very responsible with taxpayer funds is what it sounds like. So it's hard to be against that, certainly,
Well, we are very committed to doing our level best to work with as many local contractors as we can to keep the money that we can in Carlsbad and to make sure that we are only spending that money in an extremely responsible way to meet the needs of the students and the community. So very proud of the work we've done.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for that. So I'm not going to read the entire school bond question. Everybody that has it, if you're a registered voter in the city of Carlsbad, you will have received one. If you have not received one already, chances are you already have. Do you want to tell us when this needs to be returned by?
It needs to be returned by March 28th. If you decide to mail it, it has to be postmarked by 7 p.m. on March 28th. If you want to just drop it off, you can drop it off at the county clerk's office, and they'll be happy to take it if you don't want to put a stamp on it and mail it.
Well, yeah, that's good. But also, as an added bonus to that, there's no postage necessary if it's mailed in the United States.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry. It costs you nothing to vote. It cost maybe a little bit of ink filling in the circle. That's as much as it's going to cost you to take care of that. Yeah, so postage is included, which is part of the election cost by the county clerk. So that makes it real simple. Must be postmarked by March 28th at 7 p.m. So that's very simply as if it was voting day and you were in line to vote and you're in line before 7 p.m., you'll get to vote. So if you put this in the mailbox and it's postmarked by 7 p.m. on March 28th, then you get to vote as well. Very similar principle.
Yep, that is correct.
All right. So some of the things that this $90 million general obligation bond is going to do, and it's for the purpose of erecting, remodeling, and making additions to and furnishing school buildings, purchasing and improving school grounds, computer software, hardware for students in public school as well. And also what I noticed in here that kind of grabbed my attention that I'd love for you to talk about a little bit is teacher housing. I mean, anybody that lives in Carlsbad knows that housing, thanks to the oil and gas industry, there's a ton of positives, it outweighs the negatives, but one maybe potentially negative is that housing is not necessarily the most affordable in our community. So you want to talk a little bit about what your guys' plans are for teacher housing?
Well, we spent $2 million about 2 years after I got here and bought 8 houses on the south side of Carlsbad, and we're renting those to teachers now. We set aside somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million looking for property so that we can add to our teacher housing inventory. The other thing that we've done is I'm very committed to revitalizing our building trades program. We just hired a new building trades teacher, and our plan is to have that building trades teacher take a group of students, and we will start developing vacant land that the school district owns, and we will start erecting houses to house teachers that will be built by students in our high school. So it's a win, and those kids get real life experience. The district gets houses out of it, and we maximize that money. And, we're very excited about that. And we do realize that we need to get probably somewhere between 50 and 75 houses to alleviate the teacher housing issues that we have here.
Yeah. And how does that work? So do they rent those houses from you at market rate, or do you guys provide some type of discount? Because it also sounds like it could be a really good teacher recruiting tool as well.
We rent them below market rate. We have to be careful because if we get too far below market rate, then we have to charge it as a taxable benefit. So we're always analyzing what the market is and then figuring out what that number is with our bond counsel, that we can rent them for this and then it won't be a taxable benefit. So our commitment is to keep housing costs to teachers down. We try to focus on beginning teachers getting into that housing. And we have a huge waiting list because, like I said, we've got lots of demand and we only have 8 houses. And we rent it out for 2 years to one group, and then we rent it out to another group for 2 years. So, I mean, it has helped us. And, if the more housing we can get, the better able we'll be able to adequately staff our schools.
Yes, absolutely. So that's very interesting. I'm not sure that I've typically read of teacher housing within obligation bond question before, but I would say that that's a very creative strategy and obviously something that's very necessary in our community. I thought of another question. It was what you were referencing earlier, right? That we wanted to build a new middle school on the south side of town. And you mentioned Alta Vista. And what I wanted to get clear is, are you guys going to be abandoning Alta Vista altogether, or is this new school going to be a third middle school in the district?
Well, we're not going to have kids in Alta Vista. We never abandon any facility. So right now, we don't have a concrete plan what we will do with Alta Vista. But to give you an example, Hillcrest Elementary houses our technology department and our truancy officers and serves as storage for all our new technology prior to it being deployed out to schools. Eddy School houses our special education support staff, our curriculum and instruction support staff, and we've built a very nice, remodeled our gym to make it into a training facility there at Eddy School. So we use that for that. Joe Stanley is sitting idle right now, but we will be housing Sunset Elementary there while that school is being remodeled. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do with it there. We are very, and long term, we'll probably need to look at taking Alta Vista and possibly relocating central office there and then leasing out the central office building to another business because we've outgrown that and I've got staff scattered everywhere just because we don't have room for them.
Yeah, I've been in the central office building a couple times. I'm actually signed up to be a substitute teacher whenever I have the time to help out this year, and I did a month as a substitute teacher at Alta Vista Middle School with Principal Cole last year. Yeah, so we moved here. We saw the need. I saw the need to help a little bit, and I had a little bit of time. I seem to have less time now than I did this time last year, but the idea is I help whenever I can because we just know that there's a need. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the middle school level. I thought it was very engaging. I thought it was very neat. So, and your guys' substitute teacher program works pretty well, even though I know you guys have a huge need in that. So if anybody is interested in being a substitute teacher, just as a quick plug on that, please reach out to the Carlsbad district office because they could use the help. And so that's just a bit of a plug there since I did it and I'm signed up to do it. I think it's a great program.
And we appreciate anybody that wants to be a sub. Yeah. Please come in.
So moving on real quick, I noticed that the city council recently passed a resolution in support of the bond. I believe that was unanimous, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we want to improve the school district. You guys are utilizing every building and basically expanding. So you have to grow to continue to thrive, I suppose is the saying there, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay, so the city council passed a resolution. What type of other community support do you feel like you have, or do you feel like is there any place where we could increase community support for this bond?
The community's been very receptive. Every place I've been, I've spoken to Rotary. I've spoken to. I'm scheduled to speak with Downtown Lions. I am going to speak to Friday Focus and the Department of Development, where we've reached out to the county commissioners to see about them possibly passing a resolution as well. I think that the more informed people are, I think they generally understand that we are trying very, very hard to be very responsible with their money and to really create a exciting place for kids to go to school for the next 50 years. So that's our goal.
Right. And state-of-the-art facilities is a key plan on that. We know that geo-bonding can't necessarily address every educational issue facing our students today, but anybody that walks into a brand new building feels great and excited and energetic about what they're going to do and what they're going to learn for that day. So that would just be another added reason as to why you should vote for this. Anything else that you wanted to say about the GeoBond election? I'll go over a little bit of detail again to make sure that everybody understands how they can vote for that. But is there anything else that you want to mention that maybe I have not touched on?
No, I think we've covered it. But if anybody's got questions, I encourage them to reach out to my office, and we'll be happy to try and answer their questions. We have a Carlsbad for Kids website that's got stuff on it. We're always happy to answer anybody's questions. And we would really appreciate everyone supporting this because we think it's a great thing for the community and it's a great thing for kids.
All right, great. So just one more time for everybody. The deadline to mail in that ballot is March 28th. If you're a registered voter in the city of Carlsbad, it is automatically going to be mailed to you. It's a $90 million general obligation school bond question. For improvements, we've capped all that, but this is specifically looking to build a new middle school, which is desperately needed. It's going to include renovations to Sunset Elementary School. It's going to help us recruit and maintain and keep the best teachers in the state, from my experience, and it just seems like a really good thing. So it's going to come to you. Circle yes. Circle technically 4 general obligation bonds is what you want to circle. Put it in the mailbox. It will not cost you anything, or drop it by the county clerk's office. And you'll be done, and you'll help support our students with a better future here in Carlsbad and a school district that also has a great reputation in the state. So Superintendent Washburn, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you. You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.